Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Hi, folks. Welcome back. And those of you that are new, welcome. I saw this tweet on Twitter, now called X, from Mark Levin. Mark doesn't pull any punches as a rule. And a lot of people are thinking, why is the border with Egypt closed for the Palestinian, we'll call them refugees, the average citizens, and not Hamas, not militants? Why aren't they fleeing into Egypt? There's plenty of room. There's a ton of room. It's not like they don't have any place to go. But it's interesting, Mark Levin's take on this, and I think he's absolutely right. Let's read it. It's noteworthy that not a single Arab country has offered to accept Gaza Palestinians. Now think about that. In all the years there's been the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, none of the Arab states have offered publicly, even privately, to take Gaza Palestinians. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Not one. And they are silent about Egypt keeping closed the main passageway for the Gaza Palestinians to leave Gaza, because Egypt doesn't want Gaza Palestinians coming into their country. Yeah, for a lot of reasons. One, why would bring in more terrorists? Want more? Hamas leadership in Qatar has not asked Qatar or any Arab country to take any Gaza Palestinians, nor have Qatar or the Hamas leadership asked Egypt to stop blocking Gaza Palestinians from leaving Gaza. If you recall from some of the reports, Israel has been going on every app and everything on social media and every way they can communicate with the regular people, the civilians in Gaza, to leave because they're coming in force. And they do not want to kill innocent people if they can help it. And what is Hamas doing? They're telling their people to stay, to actually, in many cases, to martyr themselves and use their bodies as symbols of the Israeli oppression. Does that make a bit of sense to you at all? Of course, the Egyptians would house hundreds of thousands of Gaza Palestinians in the Sinai Peninsula, and no doubt the international community would assist with temporary housing, food, etc. But this would mean that the Arab world actually wants to help Gaza Palestinians rather than use their propaganda machine to attempt to turn Israelis into oppressors. Think about that for a minute. Just think about that. They're great. They're great for PR, public opinion, world opinion. And you see the morons in New York and all the major cities, Harvard of all places, all the major universities in the U.S., and in England and around the world, all protesting Israel when they were viciously attacked. They killed women and children. They butchered children in front of their parents, purposely, to cause them mental anguish that you could never, ever get over, and then took them as hostages. Many who have been relieved probably have been killed, so they have to live with the scars of watching their children die and things they've done to babies. Children is bad enough, but babies, they have a serious PR problem. And of course, people are getting on Ben Shapiro for showing a burned up infant. And it's pretty disturbing stuff. And they're saying he's such an ass for showing it. Well, everybody was denying it happened. Just like, remember, I was born in 56, which was 11 years after World War II. People were denying the Holocaust until the pictures came out. Well, they must have been staged. They must have been, done. Well, they didn't have the Photoshop. They didn't have all the artificial intelligence back then. Yeah, propaganda was a thing, and Germany was very good at it during the war and prior to the war. But so wasn't everybody else. So weren't the Soviets. So weren't the Allied powers, including the U.S. Remember World War I? Loose lips sink ships. They used to show pictures of boots on top of innocent people and posters with German mustaches in World War I all over the United States. Everybody does their propaganda. This actually happened by the thousands and thousands. They raided a music festival and butchered 300 people. It shows pictures of people sitting in cars, just charcoal, where they sat in their car and got burned. Now, whether they were alive or not, I don't know, or nor does it matter. So these pictures have to be shown. But it's great PR for the Arab world against their mortal enemies, the Israelis. Let's continue on. It's also noteworthy that the American and European media don't ask the Biden regime or other leaders of countries around the world about any of this. They don't even report it. Yet, because the Arabs will not provide refuge to the Gaza Palestinians, and because the Qatar-funded and Iran-funded Hamas wages war against Israel, and Israel must now lose Lord knows how many soldiers in urban warfare in Gaza, the media will report numbers. Israel will be told its response to the Hamas should be proportionate. Yeah, no, it shouldn't be proportionate. This is war. You're going after terrorists. Proportion went out the window a long time ago. And Blinken will continue to lecture Israel about rules of war when fighting terrorists who, by the way, are an exception to the rules of war. And always have been, by the way. And whether you like Mark Levin or love Mark Levin or somewhere in the middle, it does not change what he said being true. Same with Trump. You can hate Trump's guts. And I've seen man-on-the-street interviews where they'll say things that Trump did and say it was Obama, and all the college students loved it until they found out later, of course, it was Trump. And they were like, oh, we're surprised. It's something to consider. It doesn't matter who the messenger is. It's the message that's important. This is amazing to me. How in the world can what happened on Saturday and up through the last few days to thousands of Israelis, civilians? They weren't military targets, they were kibbutzes. And there's, I believe, a Yale professor that actually said civilians and settlers in occupied territory are not civilians. Treat them as if they were soldiers and kill them. Just because you're a settler with your family. I saw a picture of a husband and wife and their 3 kids, and their 3 kids looked in their 20s. Great looking family. Beautiful house and scenery. And the picture next to it is the exact same location in the camera, but 5 body bags laying in the yard. The 3 kids and the 2 parents dead. Those are civilians, but according to many, they're not. And here's the other thing I'll close with. Conservative people have been saying for a very long time, progressive Democrats are anti-Semitic and they're racist. Yeah. You know, they say this and they say that, and they're just crazy. It's freedom of speech in the U.S., and they really don't think that. Well, what do you think now? Even Jake Tapper said, if you see one of my short videos, he said, it looks like the progressive Democrats, or many of them, are the real anti-Semites. They are the racists. Period. Always have been. Always have been. They see people by the color of their skin, their gender, whatever that may be, where they're from, whether they're minority groups so they're oppressed. They see people for what they have absolutely zero say over. Their gender, their race, their looks, their color. And conservative people, for the vast majority of them, go by a person's character. Isn't that the things Dr. King said? The Democrats have always been the racists for many years. Since the Civil War, as a matter of fact. And now they just can't help themselves. They can't stop themselves anymore. Their ideology is their religion, and they're zealots. Maybe, just maybe, enough people in America, in the United States, in the upcoming election this November and especially next November, enough of them will wake up and say, wow, the Democrat Party that I grew up with, the Democrat Party of my parents. I used to be a Democrat in upstate New York as a local elected official. I was a city council member in the early 2000s. I left the party over 10 years ago because I saw what was coming. And if I saw it coming in a medium-sized town in upstate New York, it should have been easy for a lot of Democrats, but nobody wants to admit that they were wrong, that they've been hoodwinked their whole lives, especially people like my age, the baby boomers. I'm on the tail end of the baby boomers. I was born in 56. Wanted to admit their egos won't allow it, that the Democrat Party of the unions, the Democrat Party they all knew and loved their whole lives is gone, has been taken over by radical, racist progressives. Look what's happening in all the cities with the protests. I mean, I saw people that were pastors that I know for years in this community with Free Palestine shirts on 3, 4, 5 years ago. They are truly the anti-Semitics. They are truly the racists. They're so self-unaware that it's a miracle in itself that they could be that foolish and that unaware. I hate to carry on, but this is an important thing. So give what Mark Levin said some thought. When you go to vote, that's the thing you can do the most. When you go to vote, people say, well, all these things wouldn't happen if Trump was still president. And I believe that to be true. But let's put it to the test. Throw the Democrats out and then see what happens in your own country and in the world. Take the Democrats, have them lose the House of Representatives, have them lose the majority in the Senate, and have them lose the White House. And then give the Republicans a chance. If they don't produce, I'll be the first one to call them out. Something has to be done. The world is on fire. And it's running down the road. It's like rolling a car with nobody in it in neutral. Nobody knows where it's going to go, and nobody knows who it's going to hit, and nobody knows what kind of damage is going to be caused. This may be irreversible worldwide. Anyway, folks, enough of my ramblings. What are your thoughts? I really and truly want to know. Until the next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.